But anyway, okay, let's get to it. Here we are. So we are on the Friday night home rituals. So Friday night, you go to synagogue and then you come home and there's a whole home ritual. Starts with Shalom Aleichem, which we all know, right, from last semester. That's how I used to get my kids to get to the table, right? I used to just start singing it and then they would come downstairs and know that it's time to eat dinner, right? This very, just lovely. Okay. So I love this explanation of Shabbat candles. Normally, you have to say the blessing before you do the deed, right? So when you hang up a mezuzah, you say the blessing, then you put the nail in the, in the mezuzah. When you drink your wine, you say Borei Priagafen, then you drink the wine.
Mm-hmm. Not the candles.
Same thing with hamotzi. First you say hamotzi, then you cut and eat the bread. So, but with candles, once you say the blessing, Shabbat has entered. And so you can't then light the candles. So you light the candles first, then you say the blessing. And in order to not confuse that, you wave your hands around the flame 3 times, you bring it over your eyes, you keep your eyes covered while you say the blessing, so that when you take your hands off of your eyes, it's like you're seeing them for the first time again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I love that explanation, and I wanted to share that with you.
That's what I do. I light them every week when I'm home, and that's what exactly how my mom taught me to do it.
Exactly. And another thing that, some people will do is while they have their hands covered over their eyes, they'll say the blessing and then they'll say another prayer, right? Like, so if someone's sick or, whatever, they'll say another prayer. And I always wish health for my mother and my husband and my children, like when my grandmother was sick, I, wished her, well wishes and things like that. Something that's really close to your heart, but something you'd say kind of quickly, because if you start going through your list of people you want to say things for, you'll be sitting there with your eyes closed for like 20 minutes. You know what I mean? So I'm sure you all know this, but let's say it together while we're reading it. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav vetzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Okay. So again, this phrase, Asher Kitshanu b'mitzvotav vetzivanu, is something we add in when it's a commandment, right? Has commanded us to light the Shabbat candles. Now I left the English part. Oh, no, I didn't leave the English part here. I think I may have taken it out.
Yep.
Any of you, I left it in for this one. Any of you bless your children on Friday night after you light candles before you do the wine? So this is a nice little tradition that I started with my kids when they were little. And I actually would do it after, after Kiddush and Hamotzi, so that we were sitting down at the table before the food was served. And it also was easy to serve the food while we talked about this and did this. But I would say, what are you proud of this week? Why are you proud of yourself this week? And let the kids go around the table, tell them why they're proud of themselves. And then I would bless them for that, right? And it's turned into, my kids are 18 and 21. It's turned into, they call me for their Shabbat blessing. And I ask them, how was your week? And they tell me about their week and that sort of thing. And then, I tell them how much I love them and I give them their blessing. And it's just a nice little thing, like, especially my kids are in college, time can get away from you. And whenever my mother's over Friday night, she does this for me too. And it's just lovely. And you'd usually put both your hands on either side of your child's head, right? And you say, for daughters, Yisimech Elohim Kesara Rivka Rachel Leah. May God bless you as God blessed Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. For a son, you say, Yisimcha Elohim Ke-Ephraim Vechim Nashe. May God bless you as God blessed Ephraim and Manasseh. Now, why do you think the daughters are Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, but the sons are Ephraim and Manasseh? Who are Ephraim and Manasseh? Who knows? Ephraim and Manasseh are Jacob's sons. Jacob's sons. No, they're Joseph's sons. I apologize. They're Joseph's sons. I'm like, Jacob had 12 sons. Joseph's sons are Ephraim and Manasseh. And you know the story of Isaac giving the blessing to Yaakov instead of Esau, right? And the lentil soup and all of that, right? So there is a blessing in Deuteronomy, and I'll find the passage, but in Deuteronomy is where this down here, this next for all appears. And that's the blessing that Joseph gave his sons and kind of broke the quote unquote curse of only giving it to one son, right? Giving it to your firstborn son or whatever. All of your children should be blessed, not just the oldest one, right? And so for sons, we say this. And as we have brought in the daughters, because of course we do not only think of our children as only sons, we have daughters too. We put this together, and we said like our foremothers, just because, not because this is written in the Torah that he gave it to these two sons. This is not written in the Torah. So we appropriated it for our girls. So you say this Yisimcha Elohim K'Ephraim V'chim Nashe Yevarechacha Adonai V'yishmarecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai Panav Elecha V'yichuneka. May God's face or his spirit shine upon you and take care of you. Isa Adonai Panav Elecha V'yasem Lecha Shalom. May God turn his spirit on you and grant you peace.
On our former rabbi, he's retired now. He would, at the end of the service, he would always do that blessing, and at the high holiday services and everything.
Yeah. So this is actually, the blessing of the Kohanim, like on the festival days and on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, when the Kohen, that's what they're saying. They're saying this blessing, Yivarechecha Adonai, right? And it's actually in the Siddur on the repetition of the Amida. It's the blessing for the Kohens, right? It's showing favor onto the Kohens. And we've adopted that because Joseph gave that to his sons. And so they adopted it for the Kohens because the Kohens are kind of, quote unquote, like God's sons, right? And so that's why it's that way. But this is kind of nice, to give blessings. And if you don't do it every week, it's fine. Obviously anything's fine. But if any of you have a bar mitzvah, or this is always done at a baby naming for a girl. I don't know if the bris has this in it. But sometimes the moil will have the parents do this for the boy. But it's something at life cycle events to do to your children or grandchildren. It's a nice thing. And then this is from the Rabbinical Assembly, which is the council of all the conservative rabbis. And they have, they have given you a little bit more to say, that if you wanted to, bless your children with some more words of blessing, this is what you could say. All right, now we get to the big part of our day today, is Friday evening Kiddush. We all know this part here, right? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Let me make this a little bigger so that we're looking at the Hebrew, right?
Yeah.
So, let's take turns starting at the beginning, before what I call the preamble for Friday night Kiddush. And let's go through this. Just so you know, this whole preamble is chapter 2 of Genesis,
Huh.
when God creates the world, right? This comes right from the Torah. So you can open up your Chumash and you can find it. I want to say it's chapter 2, one of the verses in chapter 2, or a few verses in chapter 2. And a very funny story, when, we did Kiddush every Friday night growing up for my kids. And when my son was in 2nd grade, he came home with a little card that says, like, Mazel Tov, you've memorized something, in the Torah. And it says what chapter it is and whatever. And so I open it up. I'm like, wow, he memorized 2nd grade. He memorized some portions of the Torah. It was this. I was like, okay, he didn't memorize it. He's just heard it for the last 8 years, in his sleep. All right, so I'll read and then I'll call on you guys to read. And let's see if we can get through the preamble. And let's see how far we get. Vayehi Erev, Vayehi Voker. Judy.
Vayehi Arav
Erev.
Erev Vayehi Boker.
Perfect. Yom Hashishi Vayechulu Hashamayim Vehaaretz. Barbara.
Bayom Hashishi Bakulo Hashamayim Haaretz.
Perfect. Vechol Kamatz Katan Seva'am Vayechal Elohim Bayom Hashvi'i. Marcy.
Vakol, Sava, yeah, no, that's a da, right? That's a dalid. Sada'am.
No, Seva.
So I always mix those up. The vav. I thought the vav. What's how do you tell the difference between
This
the
is
vav
a
and the
vet.
vav?
This is a
Okay.
vet. Seva'am. Let me find. Here's a dalet.
I keep mixing them up. Oh, okay.
This is a vav. A vet.
Okay.
Excuse me. A vet. This is a vav.
Okay.
Makes the same sound as the vet.
Right. Okay. V'chol Sava'am V'chal.
Remember, they have to pronounce this somehow. Vayechal.
Vayechal Elohim Bayom Hashvi'i.
Perfect. Melachto Asher Asa. Judy.
Malachto Asher Asa.
Perfect. Vayishbot Bayom Hashvi'i. Barbara.
Where did you start that?
Right here. Vayishbot.
Vaish vote Bayom Hashvi.
Mikol, again, Kamatz Katan, Mikol melachto asher asa. Marcy.
Mikol Malachto Asher Asa.
Vayevarech Elohim, Judy.
by Vorech Elohim
Et Yom Hashvi'i Vayikadesh Oto, Barbara.
Et Yom Hashvi Ba'ako Ba Bakodesh Odo.
Oto. So
Oto.
this, again, when you have the va means and, right? Anytime you see vet or va, it means and. So it's like a prefix. So it's Vayikadesh, right? You have to somehow pronounce that yud. So it's Vayikadesh.
Vayikadesh.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay. Marcy, I'm going to go on 2 lines here. So follow me. Ki vo shavat mikol melachto.
Kivo Shavat Michol Malachto.
Yep. Asher bara Elohim la'asot, Judy.
Asher Barach Elohim La'asot.
Okay. Savri maranan verabanan verabotai. Barbara.
Sabri Maranan Barabanan Barabota.
Perfect. Marcy, I'm not even going to do this. You're going to do this next prayer. Go ahead.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Borei Peri HaGafen. Where's
There you
my?
go. I know. Listen, nobody says you can't have a glass of wine in this class. It's to you. I just can't, I just don't provide it for you, okay?
Got it.
And I don't check ID either, so you can have it. It's fine. Okay. So I have the recording of this, and I think I have it slow and fast and all of that. But I'm gonna sing it to you really quickly, just so you put it in your head where it's from, right? And I'm sorry, I have a cold. I don't have a cold, I have allergies. Or I'm in denial and I do have a cold, but I've taken 3 COVID tests and who knows. Vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzevam vayechal Elohim bayom hashvi'i melachto asher asa vayishpot bayom hashvi'i mikol melachto asher asa vayivarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i vayikadesh oto. Kivo shavat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim la'asot. Savri maranan verabanan verabotai. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. There you go. Okay.
Good.
Any questions or should we go on?
Let's go on.
Okay, let's do it. Okay. So, Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav veratza vanu. Judy, just the second line.
Asher Kiddushanu B'mitzvah Tav Beratza Banu.
Perfect. Vanu, you got it. Veshabbat code show, kamatz katan, v'shabbat code show, be'ahava uvratzon, hinchilanu. Whose turn is it? Barbara?
The Shabbat Kadsho,
Uh-huh.
Ba'ahava Uvratzon Hilanu.
Zikaron lema'aseh ve'reshit. Marcy?
Zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit.
Ki hu yom techila, Judy?
Yom Tehila.
Lemikra kodesh, Barbara.
The Mikre Kodesh.
Zecher li'tziat Mitzrayim, Marcy.
Zecher litziat Mitzrayim.
Ki vanu vacharta ve'otanu ki dashta mikol ha'amim. Go ahead, Judy. I'm going to help you if you get stuck.
Banu Baharata Vehuhanu.
Otanu ve'otanu.
Okay, wait, say that again.
Ve'otanu
Ve'otanu Kidoshat Mikol
Kidashta.
Kidashta
You got it.
Mikol Ha'amim.
Perfect. Veshabbat kodshecha, again, kamatz katan. Veshabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchal tanu. Barbara?
The Shabbat Kodshacha Ba'ahava Uvratzon Hinhaltanu.
Okay. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat, Marcy.
Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
There you go. So, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim ki vanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Sorry, my recording's much better. So let me just zoom out a little bit. This is always where my my husband likes to make fun of this, because we do this whole like preamble and you say Borei Priagafen, and my husband looks at me, he goes, we don't drink yet, right? And then we go on to the next part because it's so much, it's such a thing. Normally you say the blessing, you do the thing. But Friday night's a little special, a little bit different, and it's different. That Shabbat is different than the rest of the week, right? And so we do something different than we'll do during the week. During the week, we say Borei Priagafen and we drink the wine. Here, we also are going to praise Shabbat, and then we're going to drink the wine. So,
Lymor, now, I
yeah,
recognize that's the kiddush that we do, my nephew does before, when we begin the first cup of wine and the Seder. So is it the same? It sounded very.
It is not,
Yeah.
it is similar. So if you have a Friday night Seder, you will do this preamble. But if not, you will start here. And this is very similar. You will say, instead of Shabbat, you say Moadim lesimcha
Mhm.
be'ahava uvratzon himchilanu. And then Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh Yisrael v'hazmanim instead of Shabbat, right? So
Right.
it's very similar. And some people will use the same tune as Friday night,
Yeah.
but there is a different tune that is supposedly whatever. But this is the tune most people know because they do it every Friday night. So yes, so it is. And then, so there's no preamble unless it's Friday night, then you, and if it's Friday night, you're gonna say, Veshabbat umoadim l'simcha kadsho, right? You're gonna add the holiday part. So it is similar, but not the same, if that makes sense.
It does.
Okay. And by the way, that's only on the first cup of wine. On the second, third, and fourth cup of wines, there's different things you say after Borei Pri Hagafen.
We pray Priya Gafen and drink.
There you
That's
go.
what's in
And
our
that-
Haggadah, so that's what we do.
right, and it depends on the Haggadah, but each cup of wine represents something else, and so, everybody has their own interpretation of what to say afterwards. I don't know that the Haggadah has specific language that has to be used. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
there are certain things you have to do to make it like a quote unquote kosher Seder or whatever, so. Okay, so this is really quick and then we'll be done. And I thank you for allowing me to come late. All that. Okay, so after you have your wine, you go wash your hands. It's a ritual hand washing, right? So again, we add in the Asher Kiddushano b'mitzvotav etzivanu al netilat yadayim. And if that sounds familiar, if you wear a talis, that's what you say when you put it on your talis. Al netilat tzitzit, that you're putting tzitzit on. So very, very similar to many other blessings, because all you're saying is, praised are you, God, who's commanded us to do this, to likboa mezuzah, to put up a mezuzah, al netilat yadayim, right? So, so it's very familiar. And hamotzi, you all know hamotzi, yeah?
Yeah.
Don't have to go over it. Okay, good. So that's the Friday night ritual at home, right? It takes about, 15 minutes, if that. And I always find it funny when I talk to friends of mine that, they're like, oh, we're going to my brother's house for Shabbat dinner. We have to do the whole service. Like as if it's like this, like Seder or something that they're going to do. But if you're not used to it, you're not used to it, So that is that. Any questions?
Nope.
Nope.
All right, Saturday night or Sunday morning, I will send out all the recordings I have on this. And you guys can practice it. And if you're not doing any of these rituals at home, I of course hope that you start inviting some of the rituals for yourself if you want to. And we'll go from there. All right. I think next week I have on par to do let's see, Birkat Hamazon, which is also like a home ritual. And then we'll go back to the Siddur and start. My theory is, and I'll talk about this again next week when we start to do it. My theory is people come to services, people never come to services on time, right? So we're going to start at the end and go backwards, right? So we're going to start at Adon Olam and then learn Ein Eloheinu and then learn all of that, because honestly, that's what you're going to be there for. Okay. And if we have time to do Pesukei de Zimra, which is what they do at 9 a.m. when nobody's there, not nobody, just only 10 people, because that's all that has to be there. You know what I mean? Then that's what we'll do. All right. And that way, if there are things we don't want to do, we've at least covered the things that you are going to be at synagogue for when you go. So,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
Good luck on your
Shabbat shalom.
tournament. Shabbat shalom.
Thank you
Shabbat
so
shalom,
much.
everyone.
Be well.
Bye.
Bye.